Hello, welcome to today's podcast. So today's podcast is our first ever Zoom podcast. We're going to do a few of these as obviously we're on these local restrictions. We're hoping to get in front of a few people and doing a bit more in person, but it's what it is. So we're going to crack on. So we've got our first Zoom guest today, and it is a big one. It is Ben Coober. If you don't know who he is, you probably should do. He's pretty big in the industry. Been around a long time. Got some great advice. We've got some really good subjects to go through. We asked him some good questions. He also runs a great nutrition course company. They deliver some of the best coaching around for nutrition for coaches and for PTs. It's called BTN. Biotin Nutrition. It is great. So if you are interested in nutrition as an arm of your business, definitely a good place to go for it. Also within the podcast, Ben gives some great advice about how to make that a profitable part of your business, as well as what me and Rick go into as well. So as always, quick reminder, please subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel. Any reviews you've got time for would be welcome. Anytime you want to get in touch with us, it's fitnessbusinessadvice@gmail.com. Any questions, any specific advice that you want us to go over, we can do it there. So get it over to us. In the meantime, get ready for this. It's a great episode. Enjoy.
Hi guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Fitness Business Advice podcast. As always, I am your host, Rick Moylan, alongside my co-host. Are you going to say hello, Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm Lloyd. My name's in the little square now on this one. Our first Zoom one. Yeah,
well, we're not, as you've seen, if you've been watching, we're normally sat next to each other, so it's a little different. It'll be interesting to see how many times I can cock it up even more today, which is a normal that Lloyd tries to edit out. We have got a special guest today, our first special guest, and we're delighted to welcome an industry legend. I'll embarrass him absolutely. Mr. Ben Coober. Hi Ben, how are you doing?
I'm well, chaps. Thank you for letting me pop your cherry.
Well, that kind of sets the theme, doesn't it? We obviously have had a bit of a chat offline before, and we're all kind of straight talking, and it'll be interesting to see where we go with this today. But how's tricks for you, Ben? How's business? How's life at the minute?
Good. I can't complain. Do you know what? I feel for a lot of the fitness industry out there, which is what we were chatting on before we went live. There's a lot of amazing people out there with gyms and, all manner of businesses that just can't really help their situation as much as they'd like to. It's kind of out of their hands. But given the environment, we've been all right. We're an online business primarily, so we've been able to weather the storm pretty easily. We've kind of almost been like, we're lucky like a pandemic's not happened in terms of like our performance as a business, but we've had to make some sacrifices. We've had to make some pivots like every business does. Yeah. Everyone's sitting here thinking, oh, what are consumers doing? What's going to change? And you just got to do your best day by day and stay on your toes. But of course, I think part of it as well, you've got to, in the moment, just sort of relax with it. You kind of got to lean into it. And I think it's always a good bit of advice with business and sort of fear and your roadblocks and things that you're encountering. It's like, just lean into it, just embrace it, like see what's there, see what friction there is. And like at the moment, I'm just trying to be aware of what's going on, be aware of what my business needs to do, but almost just enjoy it. Like it's a weird freaking time. But if you sit there being stressed and pulling your hair out and all the rest of it, you won't think clearly as a business owner. You won't be nimble. You won't be creative. So I've had to just really sit back and go, right, just stay cool. And if you have a weird month, like just don't worry about it. And I know that's hard to say for someone that's not, really fighting the fire, but I think clarity in business is one of the most valuable things that you have to maintain. You can frame it lots of different ways, like work-life balance, like whatever that is. But ultimately, it's clarity. It's clarity to see the future, clarity to see what needs to change, clarity to change what's not working. So Mate, I'm good. And I've also had my first child, so I've been able to pour my love into that. So
That's good. That brought up something. We were talking last week about critical thinking, weren't we? Like, about, as you, obviously we talk a lot about people, PTs trying to build a business, trying to create a business from just counting reps. And a big transition is being able, we were talking about critical thinking, being able to make decisions. And as you say, like, ride the waves a little bit. Being an entrepreneur and owning business is a much bigger task than managing a few clients. So you have to accept these sorts of things are going to happen and roll with the punches, as I would say, you know. You have to accept it.
Definitely. I've got a post-it note that's in front of my computer. I'll pick it up. And I put key things right in front of my computer so I can remind myself of them every day. And it says, think slow, act fast, focus. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think that's important in this sort of time at the moment, whereas a lot of us are probably thinking quickly, acting quickly, and we're not sure on our focus because we're just like trying to survive. And in business, I think it's so important to just consider like all the pieces of the puzzle, really be like calm with it and say, right, have I thought about the economics of this, the client impact of this, the impact on me and my time? And then when you've made your decision, you act fast, you implement quickly. And that's where speed comes in. But speed of decision making is quite often a bad thing. Mm-hmm. You've got to make the right decision, then you've got to act very quickly.
Yeah. Very good.
Love that. I mean, you know, like you say, we were talking earlier, it's fundamentally the biggest business challenge for us right now. It's recession, isn't it? And mm-hmm. I'm sure, you know, you've been in business a few years now, Ben. There's always challenges, right? You know, they might be different, but, you know, it's not plain sailing, is it?
No. I think there's a point you've got to ask yourself. If you are a business owner and you're not ready for challenges, then probably shouldn't be a business owner. Like, you really do have to have a certain stomach for even being self-employed, because self-employed, you're getting, you know, kicked in the nuts every day. In some way, you're dealing with problems. When you're an employee, you don't really do that. You do it to an extent, but not in the same way. And it's also not personal. You're not emotively connected to it. So you've got to have stomach for this kind of stuff. And I think when people ask me about business now, I sort of frame it as a game. You're just trying to get better at the game, and you've got to be able to wake up every day and go, right, today's a game. I've got X amount of clients, got this marketing to do. How am I going to get better? How am I going to improve my playing ability? And I do find it exciting. I think as a business owner, you've always got to see what you're doing as a 5 to 10 year journey. And then you can appreciate the game. Like, it's not just this week. It's not just next week. It's not just how many clients mm-hmm. you have or can get. It's about the long haul. And people always ask me, like, oh, you know, what's your recipe for success? And sometimes it's just like skin in the game.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, are you ready to put in 5 years of work, or are you wanting to put 3 months of work in? Are you wanting to have 1 or 2 mentorship sessions with Rick and then be like, oh, sweet, my business is fixed? Like, no. Yeah. Like, let's commit to like the next 18 months or whatever. Like, especially with some of the goals that a lot of people have, you know, I want to double my client base or whatever. Like, you know, anyway, I'm using.
Now we'll get into that, because we're gonna later get some more sort of specific advice from you, or what advice you would have for some coaches out there. And that's one that's linked into that quite well, because a lot of people throw out big ideas if it's a little task. I'm gonna go online. I'm gonna open it. I'm just gonna open a quick gym, and then I'll move on, as if they can do it in a weekend. Like I say, you've got to commit for a long time. But we're going to start with a big one. This is a question we ask all our guests, and me and Rick have talked about quite a lot as well. And the first one for you, Ben, is, what is the best piece of business advice that you've ever been given? And if you'd like to, who gave it to you, and what the circumstances were and everything, and how it's played out in your career?
Yeah, I've actually changed my answer based on what we've been talking about. My answer was going to be, and it's kind of obvious, always have mentors and people around you that are 1, 2, 3, 4 years ahead of you, and you can obviously blueprint what you're doing. But that's probably quite an obvious bit of advice. And if I'm thinking about the journey, playing the game, I think the best bit of advice I've always been given is trust yourself, trust your instinct, and learn how to play the game on your terms. So if I think back to if I think about the last 10 years for me in business, and I've been in business quite a while, the time where I was at my lowest was the time that I didn't trust myself the most. It had been beaten out of me. Some situations had happened. I'd just been knocked down a lot, and financially I was near breaking point. And it just knocked all the wind out of me. I didn't trust myself, didn't trust my decision-making process. And now I feel totally different, totally empowered, totally renewed. And it's because I trust myself, trust in my ability. So whatever individuals listening to this, how do you get to a place where you have confidence in your ability, that you know that you'll work it out? And I'm not standing here saying I have all the answers. I don't, but I trust that I will find the answer. For me to hypothetically double my business between now and let's say 2023, I don't know the answers, but I trust I'll find the way, because I trust my track record. I'm still here, I'm still breathing, I'm still fighting. So if you can find the ability, the resources, the people that are going to pump you up to that kind of state where you really trust and own your ability, then really you're kind of unstoppable.
That's interesting. You mentioned right before it that you figured that out when you're taking a few losses, basically, you take a few hits. Do you think that's an important sort of road to go down? Accept your losses and come back and learn from it as well? Or do you think you could have done it without those?
I could have done it without those. I would have stayed small. And that's the difference between people that build a big, thriving business and people that stay as a whatever. And I'm not standing here saying being a personal trainer with a client list with a thriving business is a bad thing. That's a great thing if it's what you want to achieve. But I was always someone that felt he had the power to lead quite a big mission, have quite a lot of change quite a lot for the industry. So that's what I set out on. But if I hadn't learned from those mistakes, it would still be me in my spare bedroom with a PA, just shifting about, doing a couple of good things. But now I've got a business, 8 full-time staff, lots of things that are happening, and it's all great. But it's because I went back, said, right, I need to learn from this. Now I'm going to move positively forward. And I will continue to make tons of failures, but I'll continue to stand there and go, right, learn from that, move forward.
Key message right there. Embracing and learning from the failures. Yeah.
Leaning into it. I love that phrase. Just lean it, because failure is painful, right? It's crap, it's shit. You got to lean into it. You're like, right, what is this now telling me? What do I need to learn? The world is sending me a signal, and it's a painful one. So if it's that painful, I need to learn quickly. I need to auto-correct quickly. And I think if you build up your own confidence and ability, you do have the confidence to lean into those problems and learn quickly and move on.
Yeah. I'm interested as well there in you saying about, having the wind taken from your sails and whatnot like that. And that's, it's a position I've found myself in, and I'm just interested in your thoughts on that, really. The reasons for that. It doesn't really matter, but, I suppose what I'm asking is, have you got to have the right people around you? Is that what I'm asking you? I think it is, yeah.
I mean, having the right people around me definitely helped me see perspective and get back on my feet. But I think I could have got on my feet quicker if I'd really taken the lessons to heart quicker and been more vulnerable and accepted why they were happening. But most of us fight bad things that are happening. But if you can stand back quickly and go, all right, a bad thing's happening. Why is this happening? Am I in control of the situation? Can I change the outcome? So rather than fighting it, it's just complete acceptance straight away, complete ownership of the mistakes that you've made so you can make them quickly. And I didn't do that quick enough because I had to stare deep down into my ego. And so actually I caused 60% of these problems with past behavior, past relationships, mistakes I'd made in business and stuff. So I had to stare that down the barrel and say, well, I can't blame anyone else. It's my fault. So accept and move on.
Yeah, that's massive. Especially in this industry, it's such an ego-driven industry, isn't it? There's so many people got into it because of the love of themselves, that crossing that line is so hard for some people. But you see so many people go through it as well. Obviously, me and Rick have been in the industry almost as long as you have. Well, Rick maybe longer, a few years on him. But You know, I've seen people go through that, and you can see the transition people make when they let that ego drop a little bit, and then can move past it as a businessman or businesswoman, right? Rather than trying to bear it so much on themselves, you know.
Oh, totally agree.
Lloyd's just basically called me old.
Yeah, well,
Lloyd, you know.
I don't need an excuse to call you old, do I?
There was something was mentioned about hair, I think, earlier as well, and I was saying like thinking, oh, I'm not fucking getting into this. I'm just gonna like go quiet or something, you know. So, yeah, thanks for that. But yeah, fascinating, you know, and I think that the fascinating bit for me then is when you know, when your business is doing well or people are perceiving that it's doing well. I think a lot of people kind of think, oh, you know, look at him, he's lucky. Look at her, she's lucky. You know, they don't realise that you're still on that, like you say, you're still on that daily battle, that daily grind of what business life is like. You know, so that was the key message for me. Is that whilst, you know, it's brilliant, things are going well, it's you still got to work hard on it, haven't you, and take the rough with the smooth, you know.
Yeah. If anyone listening and watching doesn't get that one, that's the one that people put on physical results all the time. PTs, a lot of coaches in general tend to sort of think business and coaching people are two different things, and they're not. They cross over a lot. And if your client does the right thing every day and falls off the wagon and gets back on and moves on, they can achieve the goals, getting stronger, getting bigger, losing weight, whatever it is. It's the same with business, isn't it? You've got to just keep going, keep chipping away at it, and realize that nothing's lucky. It's about how much you commit to it. I mean, people have said it to me. It's all right for you. You're a PT. You know, it's all right for you because you stay in shape. But no, it's all right for me because I train all the time and I make the right decisions for food. So it's not a luck thing. And it's the same for what you would say to your clients. And it's the same what we're saying about business. It's not lucky. It's about how much you can work at it and how much you can put up with, essentially, and keep moving forward. I think some really good points, man. Move on from good. We'll move on from some good ones onto the bad ones. It's a good question. This was my favorite one. What is the worst piece of business advice you've been given or even ever heard given to anybody in the industry?
So I'm going to be really annoying and answer it with almost just a different segue. And nothing like really screams out at me. And the reason this is like in business, everyone, and in life, everyone's got like answers for things. They've got advice for things. And most of it is usually unsolicited or it's advice based on the wrong kind of information. So for me, the worst bit of advice is a bit of advice that hasn't been based on a true understanding of the problem. And I see this an awful lot in the fitness industry and just in the world, is like people ask crap questions. Like I'm in a seminar, I've got 50 PTs in front of me. They've only got me for 3 hours. They've paid 50 quid to be there. And they've got like my 10 years of business experience, PT experience, everything in front of them. And they're asking questions like, how do I get clients? Like just so general. It's like, where do I even start? And you just have to break down all these really general things till you get to something like really meaningful. So the worst bit of advice I've usually got is probably usually off the back of a bad question that I've asked. If I've got someone with loads of experience in front of me and they give me a crap answer, it's probably because I've asked a crap question. So you talked about critical thinking earlier. If we critically break down our problem and ask a really specific, directed, outcome-related question to someone with experience, you'll probably get a really actionable, concise, direct answer back. So the worst bit of advice has usually come from me asking a bad question. So if anyone else is out there looking for better answers, start asking better questions.
Awesome.
Love that.
Yeah. The bit of advice we always give out to, we deal with a lot of coaches starting out and rebranding and building businesses, and something that comes up often is when they're trying to brief other people that they pay. And generally it's the graphic designers who comes to mind a lot. I want a logo. What logo? Well, one for the gym. No idea what they want. So they're not getting, then they'll come to us and say that the graphic designer's rubbish. And it's exactly that. You're not asking the right questions, so you're getting a shitty answer. If you gave the right briefing, you gave exactly a clear concise view of what you're after, the answer can be so much better. And that relates all the way through. I think that's really good.
So I think that, the lesson there for a lot of people in business, we get caught up with the excitement of the next thing a lot. And we're not actually sitting down and going, right, the most important thing that I will do today is write a logo brief for my designer, not try and fit that in alongside a website brief, 3 other clients, and then that way you'll write a really detailed, proper report for your graphic designer, because it might take you 2 hours to write that. But if you don't write it properly, it's going to create 5 hours of problems further down the line. Yeah. It's like coaching. If you don't say something in the right way or deliver the plan in the right way, you're spending way more time further down the line.
Yeah.
So we have to
correct what you did before.
Exactly. Yeah. We have to really see the beauty of investing the right amount of time in all the processes that we have to go through, because you'll only go back and fix problems. Yeah. And I've probably spent the last 18 months in my business ironing out things that I've just screwed up in the past in terms of like systems and processes and commitments I've made. And a shotgun approach will only get you so far.
Yeah.
Love it. I've got nothing to add. I'm just listening, thinking back how many times I've fucked it up, but there we go. just this week, we're only on Monday. I love it, Ben. Really, really different approach to that question. Absolutely not annoying. I love it. Yeah, really good. Thank you. Let's keep. I'm saying listening. Let's keep moving. Great.
Next one. So we usually do this one as if you're going back in time almost. So the day that you started as a personal trainer or as a coach and you were left on your own devices to go and get some clients, what would the advice be that you could give to somebody in that situation? Or even if you could go back, what advice would you give to yourself at that situation? What do you think the most important thing is?
So the question that you emailed me is advice for a struggling personal trainer. So when I think of struggling and the word struggle, there's usually a pain point or a fear. And quite often a coach is not being really honest with what that struggle actually is. And the struggle's manifested itself in like, oh, I can't get clients. And when you dive into it, it's like, well, why can't you get clients? It's like, oh, well, there's not enough people in the gym. And it's like, oh, hang on a second. You're now blaming the circumstances. Is the circumstances actually a problem? So when you actually delve into these conversations with a personal trainer, it's usually that actually the person's got a fear of breaking ice with an individual. Like they don't actually know like how to just walk up to someone and introduce themselves in a friendly way without in their mind, the burning question is, will you become a client? Which is what personal trainers usually walking around the gym trying to find.
Yeah.
So if anyone's struggling as a personal trainer, first really identify what the struggle is and why that struggle exists. So that, because then you can find a really specific answer to the problem. So if someone is lacking in self-confidence, that's brilliant because we now know the problem. So now the best thing we can do is go on a journey where we build up this person's confidence, and in the same breath, in the same process, we build up tactical skills to be better at cold conversation starting, because that's the actual problem. So that'd be my advice.
That's good. Really good. Yeah. And what about you? What was your biggest struggle at first, do you think? Did you know it at the time? And
my biggest struggle was thinking that I knew it all. And my ego, like I'd struck around the gym thinking, oh, I should just like magnetize clients because I knew more than every other trainer. And on paper, like I kind of did in a way, like I'd done a load of courses really quickly early on in my career. I was very fortunate that I kind of hustled on that. But it made me arrogant. It made me not have humility. It made me not respect the process of coaching and building up your client base and building trust and relationship. And like I wrote it in my book, How to Be an Awesome Personal Trainer. It was like, in my eyes, the worst trainer in the gym that taught me my lesson of how to be the best trainer in the gym. Yeah. And it was all about spend time building relationships and you'll have a full client list in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Something that crossed over the last episode with me and Rick were talking about what it's easy to see as the best trainer and the worst trainer. And a lot of the times, not a lot of times, but often you've seen it the other way around. The worst trainer is the guy that makes the most money, and the best trainer can be the guy that makes the least. And it's having that balance between the two, being able to understand who you are and trust your process, but being able to strike a conversation and speak to people and break them down is just as important. And it's really easy to get caught up in that side, as you did in the courses and in the education, and not think about actually selling.
It's funny because I viewed him as like the worst trainer in the gym, but he was the one actually getting really good results. He was the one saying, I've just had Jane lose 3 stone in 3 months. I've just had Cindy lose 6 stone in 7 months. And there's all these testimonials, but I'm the one stood there saying I'm the one that's the best.
Yeah.
But actually I'm not, because the client wants to lose weight. He's just made them lose weight and feel amazing. He's the best. He's the best at the outcome. That's what personal trainers are. They're facilitators of outcome.
Absolutely. Say that all the time. All about the outcome. Yeah. And again, it's so easy to get caught up in that, like fixating on the process, the best way of doing this, the best training programs, hours and hours. How many times we've seen it, Rick? People spending hours and hours on Excel sheets of macro breakdowns and split routines that's going to get the best this and that. But if no one's ever going to do it, if you're not putting it into place, it doesn't make any difference.
Yep. And I used to be that coach.
Yeah.
At what point did you realise then and think, hang on a minute, got to do something different here?
I just stood back and sort of observed this trainer that I'm talking about and just said, why is he better than me at the outcome? And I just observed his behavior on the gym floor and sort of started to see how he was interacting with me as well. And he's a really friendly guy, like the friendliest guy in the gym. And that was one of the reasons why. He was friendly, he built trust, he understood people's problems, he spent the majority of the time listening rather than talking, whereas I spent most of the time talking rather than listening. And I just then started to auto-correct my behavior based on that, and just had so much more success when I focused on the person, their problem, the process they were going through, what they needed to learn, rather than me being like, oh, I'm a great trainer, let me assess you and give you a great program that you're never going to do, because it's like being back at school.
You know, we at Lloyd, we talk about this, don't we? You know, the title personal trainer, if you draw a line down the middle, there's so much focus, isn't there, like you say, Ben, on the trainer, you know, doing biomechanical analysis and all these mad programs, and people just think, what the fuck's that, you know? And if we focus on the personal, often can take, you know, the client a lot further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, we said it again. Said it almost every episode. The client generally doesn't care how they get the results. They want it. They just want the outcome, as you said. Then they just want the results. They're not bothered. Most of them don't want to learn about the biomechanics, do they? And it's a big pet peeve of mine. You know, it's Rick always gets on my tits, that one. But you've got to go through the process to learn it. This is recurring now, and what we've been talking about all afternoon, like it's recurring. You've got to go through that process to learn how to deal with it later on. It's really good. So Ben, it'd be bad of us to get you on and not ask you anything about nutrition coaching, wouldn't it? Be a missed opportunity. So, seeing as it's such a big thing for the PTs, we've got your best advice for PTs that are passionate about nutrition and want to use it as either a focus of the business or charge extra fare or make it a focal point of their business. What's your best advice for that?
In terms of business, it's probably to operate, and I've recommended this to a lot of PTs, some kind of hybrid model where you're focusing your one-to-one or one-to-group coaching time in the gym. So, you know, training your clients classically. All your nutrition support is based around like a community journey online with nutrition coaching and behavior change. So it might be something as simple as a Facebook group. You've got all 25 clients in the Facebook group. And every week on like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday or whatever, you're doing some education, you're doing some training around food, you're doing some Q&As, you're uploading some plans, you're doing recipe ideas. Maybe you do like a group weigh-in or check-in or something like once a week. So you're keeping the kind of one-to-one time focused training, like outcome, you know, putting the intensity into the physicality of the journey. But then online, there's this kind of nourishment. And I find that's quite often a good way to do it for coaches, because people find nutrition and behavior change a challenge. But when they're in a group, you kind of like soften the barriers, and then you learn that Jane's also got the problem that you're facing, and Chrissy's got the problem that you're facing, and someone else, and all of a sudden, like, they end up coaching each other a little bit. So I think it's a good like model, and it's also something that can be a nice add-on. So you might charge, I don't know, 250 quid a month for 3 sessions a week to your clients, but for 290 quid a month, you also get nutrition coaching online, and it's all done in a Facebook group, and you've got a little members area in Dropbox, and can all be really simple. Like, we get so caught up in all the different apps we can use and all the rest of it. I did a webinar the other night, and I talked about being an online coach, and I'm like, you could literally spend £10 a month and be an online coach. Get a Facebook group, start talking to people on Facebook Messenger, put out good organic marketing content, contact everyone you know, and work the room. Like, hustle. Like, you don't have to have all these different apps and all these different bits of software. Do they help? Yeah, of course they do. They streamline a business, but the best thing you can do as a coach is create what you call in business an MVP, a minimum viable product. The minimum viable product is you and your knowledge as a coach, using the internet to hustle. So that would be my best bit of advice for starting off in a basic way with nutrition, bringing a community together, and then you can obviously be more specific and write, more specific plans, put more processes together, maybe when it comes to behavior change, mindset change, etc.
Very nice. Yeah, we talk a lot about Facebook communities on here, and you get it bang on. That base level is that they can connect with each other. They start to connect. It brings them into the group. Everyone wants to be included in something. There's that bad stereotype of someone who does CrossFit telling everybody they do CrossFit, but it's because they feel good about it, right? They feel good that they're part of the group, and they're feeling better, and they're getting stronger. And if you can create that for your clients, whether it's 10 of them or whether you've got 100 of them in that group, they're going to feel like they're part of something, as well as feeling like they're getting loads of effort and loads of coaching from you, which is what they pay you for, not just to count the reps and to work them in the gym. They want everything outside of it to get the results. And then that whole point about the minimum product. So if it is, as Ben said, them numbers, then if it's 40 quid a month extra, there's no reason that somebody couldn't buy that £40 product off you for 1 month. See that the level of coaching that you've got, get the little bit of knowledge from you, and then upgrade it to some coaching, and then put the two together, or even swap it around. It means that, we've talked about this in previous episodes before, when you're selling to people, if you've got the right people, if you're attracting the right people by designing your product around these people and design a product that these people want, they shouldn't have to say no to you. You should have a product that they can buy no matter what it is, whether it's a £10 book, or whether it's a membership to your nutrition coaching, or whether it's a minimal bit of online or group training. And putting people together into a group will only enhance that product, like making them feel like they're part of it. It's such a big thing that people miss out on when they get obsessed with this one-on-one coaching thing. It is great to be a one-on-one coach, and it's a great connection you can get with your clients, and what obviously the clients can get with you. But being part of a group is such a big thing that people miss out on.
One thing I will say, because we've started to talk about like different packages and things you can do as a coach. One thing I see many coaches doing is creating more and more packages and services to cover up the fact that they are not a good enough coach. And I'll be really honest and say that if you cannot train someone for 3 months one-to-one and get a great result, a bit of a decent transformation, then going and doing a Facebook group or writing a book or anything like that isn't going to fix the fact that you've not got enough clients coming in. You have to be a great coach. You have to be able to get results. Yeah. So that's why I always say, like, one-to-one should be the bread and butter of everyone's business at the start, because that's where you learn your trade.
Absolutely.
You can't build an online group coaching program if you can't get results with one person.
Yeah.
What are you doing? So master your craft.
It seems to be the answer for somebody that's, what we mentioned before, a struggling PT, not facing up to what the struggle is, looking for the next thing to potentially be successful in. And right now, obviously, where the world's at, but even before that, as the trend's getting bigger, going online, as we said before, people will throw that out as a goal or what they're going to do with the business. And a lot of the time it can be masking that they're not actually achieving what they said they were going to do in the in the one-to-one or the group or whatever the focus was before. And it is something people just run off to and think it's going to be dead simple. And that is exactly it. We call it being legit. You have to have walked that path before you can manage 100 people on it. How are you ever going to do that if you can't manage one? It doesn't work.
Agreed.
Ben, can I just ask you mentioned, you touched on behavior change a couple of times. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think that's crucial. I think often, trainers and coaches think that the answer is in the plan. It's, eat carrots instead of cake, when, it's deeper than that, isn't it? So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that in terms of what you teach, trainers and up and coming trainers and whatnot.
It is, yeah. So most of the people that are not getting the results that they want with their clients with their nutrition is because they're not breaching the environment and that person's behavior around their food and their environment enough. So, you could use the analogy of, like, you can give a nutrition plan to 100 people and 20% of those people will follow the plan, get results, Bob's your uncle, all good. 30% of those people will follow it, but they need a bit of advice, they need a bit of accountability, they need a bit of hand holding, but they'll kind of get there in the end. And then the other 50%, and there's always 10% that just like don't want to change, they're resistant, like whatever. And we discard that 10% because it's on them. But we should be focusing on this 90% that we can help. There's this 40% chunk that need to understand where they're going wrong, need to understand where their habits are breaking down at the weekend, need to understand that maybe their partner and their relationship with their partner is causing a lot of their binge eating, or their work environment is causing their binge eating. So if you want to really help like 90% of the people that come to you, you have to understand how to be able to pick apart their environment, what's going on in their head, all the struggles that they're having with their emotions, because people don't just follow plans, and plans are unrealistic because no one wants to be using MyFitnessPal every day for the next 50 years of their life to track their nutrition. If any personal trainer thinks that, then you're absolutely smoking crack. No, clients should be using MyFitnessPal to learn about food so they can then go and be autonomous to then go and do their diet by themselves, not follow a plan for the rest of their life. So yeah, and this is the power of coaching. It takes time to understand someone's behavior. It takes time to have a compassionate conversation with Julie about her binge eating over the course of like many, many, many weeks. Because Julie's not going to tell you the real reason of why she binge eats on day one with coaching with you. She probably doesn't even know the real reason.
No, she's not aware. So how can she tell you?
Exactly. So yeah, it's super important, but that is the problem. You have to allow space in your coaching model to have the time to really understand behavior and coach people through it.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. One that we used to, it's not, I suppose it is relevant for this, maybe not, but it's the 21-year-old life coach, isn't it? Telling when you live, he's now wrong with being 21, but, life coaching 45-year-olds, 50-year-olds over the stresses of life when they've got 2 kids and a marriage and bills when you live at home with mum and dad,
Yeah.
So, I suppose, I think part of this and what I'm getting, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think you're saying, go and serve your time, go and do things patiently, become a great coach. That takes time. Get your foundations right and build from there.
I am saying that, yeah. And if you're struggling with that, question your motives for being in the job that you're doing. So when I started as a personal trainer, I wanted to be a great coach, and I wanted to take my clients on the journey that I'd been on because it changed my life. Completely different person when I joined the gym. Like, it literally changed my life. And then my kind of business aspirations just evolved naturally over time. So if you've got a PT in the gym, he's only been there 6 months, he's pretty green, and he's already like trying to create this online and trying to do that and trying to create a clothing brand. I'm like, that's great. But you don't actually want to be a coach. You're showboating as a coach. You want to be like a fitness business owner, and that's absolutely fine. Both things are okay, but you've got to be honest with yourself and say, this is what I actually want to do. This is my journey. This is my purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't coached people actively with nutrition for a good couple of years, because that's not me anymore. It's not my journey. I just happen to still know a lot about it because I understand people, and ultimately coaching is people.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's about 20 more things I'd like to ask there, but I'd probably ask him personally. But yeah, I completely agree. I know Lloyd, speaking for us, we agree, don't we? That
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's about the deep reasons of why you want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to earn money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make a living.
No.
We've all got to pay our bills, haven't we? But equally, if you're gonna grow a business to anything like where it should be, then your motive should be true and honest, let's say, to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so many personal trainers. Let's talk brass tacks about business and PT. Like, most PTs would probably actually be really happy if they were earning 50 grand a year, had a decent house, like everything was good. They're pretty decent work-life balance, so they're not in 6 days a week at 6 a.m. and going home at 9 p.m. Like, most PTs would be happy with all of that. So if you would be happy with all of that, what is the journey to getting that?
Yeah.
What do you have to charge per hour for the hours that you want to work to earn 50 grand a year, have a nice car, have a nice house? Because it's not actually as hard as people think.
No.
You've got to charge appropriately for your time. You've got to get results. You've got to have a good product and service. You've got to be on top of your business. You've got to be organized. You've got to know when, your clients are struggling. You've got to have a bit of a sixth sense about that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not actually that hard, but there's so many PTs running around earning 23 grand a year, looking for fixes that are not going to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. They're then just adding more and more things onto their working week that they don't actually have time for. Like, most PTs are legitimately working very hard. They're just working very hard at quite a lot of the wrong stuff, the stuff that's not going to move the needle. Mm-hmm. But if you can be a great coach getting 45 quid an hour, that's decent money. Like, not many people are unhappy earning that amount of money.
Mm-mm. No, it's getting the whole structure in place, isn't it? Spinning plates, essentially, isn't it? Some of them have got to be able to spin with very minimal effort, and to build a structure to get that going, say, managing your diary, like you just said, work at the hours you want to work. So many PTs are so far away from that they can't see the end of the tunnel. It takes little steps working towards that. We work with coaches on building the perfect diary and getting towards that as well. But it's it can feel so hard to say no to that session, that money, that next client. Can you do 9 o'clock on Sunday night? Yeah, I can. It's the done thing, isn't it? Yeah, can you do 7 o'clock the next morning as well? Yeah, let's do it. Not thinking about your own life at all. But if you can get to that point, like Ben says, it's not that hard. It's not that far away from most people. It's just having the structure in place to be able to manage it to that point. It's a lot of effort to put in, but if you concentrate on where you put that effort, it's 100% doable. Mm. Really good. Last one, Ben. Last question. Okay. We're talking current now. Today's sort of world, current market and economy. What's your advice for PTs right now? What should they be doing with the businesses right now, do you think?
Off the top of my head, probably focusing all their time and attention on what is already working and bringing in money. So I can imagine for most personal trainers, a proportion of their business has suffered because of what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
So let's say that you've still got 60% of your earnings coming in. Where is that earning coming from? And can you double down and double through that income source?
Yeah.
So if it's online, if it's group, if it's whatever, can you just pour more energy? Because at the moment, a lot of people are trying to find like almost that new income stream, that new extra thing. And it's like, well, if that thing over there isn't broken, can you just do more of that? Mm-hmm. And then when the market changes, you kind of go back to what you were doing. So at the beginning of coronavirus, I set up a PT group, and there's about 2,700 PTs in there. And I just said to everyone, look, for some of you, it is just going to be a case of survival. But you've got to come to accept that because of the way that your business is already set up, where you live. Like, you can imagine being a personal trainer in a small town in the hills of Lanarkshire, like, getting, an online business set up is probably going to be impossible for them because they were literally a PT working in the woods with 12 clients. Yeah. So for some people, it might be a case of, okay, knuckle down, do what you can, leverage the market share and the friends and the family that you've already got, and maybe just spend this time working on a new pivot or working on a new course, or maybe getting a part-time job somewhere. So yeah, I would just say to people, put your energy into something that you feel you're really going to get something out of, unless you are trying a new thing and you've got the time and energy to do that and it's not stressing you out. Because there's nothing worse than adding loads of stress in a stressful time. You might as well maybe just say to yourself, actually, I'm just going to take my foot off the gas here, chill a little bit, do what I can, and work out where the next appropriate and right move is for me.
Yeah, well, that's good. We had a lot of guys at the beginning shout out big things like that, like you say, new income streams. I'm going to go online, I'm going to do this. And, you know, our advice was like the same. Be aware of where your time is and how much stress it's adding on. I like that idea of, you say, understanding where your money comes from, seeing if you can work more out of that. Double down on what works. Some really good advice in there. Really, really good.
Yeah, 100%. I would just say to the listeners, go back and listen to that bit again, because that's golden.
Yeah,
what's been said there. You know, the success is in the simplicity, but people don't always hear it, do they? Although people don't always want to hear it. And I would absolutely tell people listening to go back and listen to that bit again. That's crucial advice, you know. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions I think Ben's answered enough.
I'm here all day, baby.
Yeah. Especially we said about 30 minutes, didn't we? And we're way gone past that now. But what I would say, you know, obviously, you know, we could talk all day. You mentioned you do seminars before. What, you know, where can people work with you? Where can listeners find you and work with you and learn from you and whatnot like that?
Just find me online, Ben Coober, Instagram, Facebook, podcast. If you're a PT and you want a free community, there's nothing sold in there. There's nothing that happens in there really, apart from just free advice. Then you're welcome to Google or put into Facebook, PT Coronavirus Strategy Group. That was the Facebook group that I set up just to help PTs kind of survive this period of time. And there's still a lot in there chatting and helping each other. So yeah, just come and find me online. And I suppose if there was a closing bit of advice, I know your show is very much around personal trainers. We've given a lot of PT advice today. But I did a poll on my Instagram the other day, and I know a lot of personal trainers follow my work. And it said that 89% of people that follow me are currently unhappy with their jobs. So there might be a lot of personal trainers out there currently listening to this saying, I'm actually not enjoying personal training. I'm enjoying fitness, I'm enjoying nutrition, or I'm enjoying something, but what I'm doing right now, I'm currently not enjoying. And it might be because it's COVID and things are screwed up, but it might be that also you are really passionate and interested in fitness and nutrition, but maybe your calling isn't as a personal trainer, or isn't as a gym owner, or isn't just what you're doing. And there's just a slight pivot. And now actually we're getting forced to think about what our careers mean to us right now. A lot of people are very much in deep thinking mode. Perhaps now is a time to think, maybe I do need a pivot. And maybe it's not leaving the industry or whatever. It's just, I'm meant to be over here doing this and using that skill. When we teach people on our nutrition course, I always say to people, I'm not here to tell you to go and be a one-on-one nutrition coach. I'm here to tell you to learn nutrition because it's really powerful, life-changing stuff. But if you're, for example, a business mentor and you've now started to learn about nutrition, can you combine those two skills? Like, can you create like a hybrid career path where you're going into businesses that talk about like management and team performance and offer a nutrition arm? Like, there's so many ways to be involved in the fitness industry, and it doesn't have to be a personal trainer or a fitness model. Like, there's literally 100 different careers you could do in fitness. And perhaps now's the time where your calling is maybe slightly somewhere else.
Love that. Love it. I mean, I get, you know, above anything else as well from you, this passion. I think that's the big thing. That would be the message from me, you know, to those that are listening. I love that. I've got nothing else. Lloyd, is there anything from you?
No, nothing else from me. That was amazing. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, so Ben, thank you very much for your time. As you've said, at Ben Coober, Facebook, Instagram, online, all the info's there regarding your seminars, your nutrition programs. Level 4 accredited nutrition program, might I add, and get onto it, guys. It's world class. But Ben, thank you for your time, mate. It's been brilliant, and we'll leave it there. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice one. And if anyone's confused about their future, get a mentor. Honestly, I started at the beginning. Like, if anyone's finishing this podcast going, I've got so much in my brain and I need someone to help, let it get ironed out. Get a mentor. They'll help you do that.
We'll put all our, some links to Ben's stuff on our podcast, and we might drop
in the description, everything as usual.
Might drop
and then
again as well.
Yeah, and again, as usual, any specific subjects or anything for the next podcast, fitnessbusinessadvice@gmail.com, and we'll get onto them as always.
Cool. Cheers, Ben.
So there we have it. Great episode, some great stuff from Ben as promised. Yeah, we always deliver. Quick reminders again, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to us there. New episodes will be coming out every week. We've got some more great guests coming on, and the usual great stuff from me and Rick, obviously, like the stuff that you're here for. Thanks for watching, we really do appreciate it. And again, anything you want us to go over, hit us up on the email, fitnessbusinessadvice@gmail.com. Get in touch and we can go over anything that you want us to go over. See you next time.